Hi everyone, it's Sue with Ully Cat's Designs and Ully Cat's World blog, and I'm here with a sneak peek for the Karen Burniston November 2025 release. So today's card is going to be what I like to call the wild puppy card. You know how excited dogs get sometimes when they see their favorite person. And I have two versions. This one uses pull mechanism, and this one has the left pull. And on this card, I've just reversed the direction of the pull, meaning I've flipped the mechanism. The other big difference is this card uses a piece of clear plastic packaging and a piece of ribbon for the pull strip, whereas this one uses a piece of cardstock that's been covered with some packing tape to make it sturdy. So we've got two options there today. The new dies that we're going to be using are the Playful Pop-Up, the Dog and Cat Playful Add-on Set, and then we're also going to be using from the Waterfall card, one decorator die and the arrow die. We're going to be using the second largest Rectangles Crosshatch die, and then from her new stamp sets, the dog sayings, along with the new greeting labels to cut them out, and the dog borders. We're going to be using the bones. So let's get started. So here are the pieces we're going to need to make our mechanism work. These three are from the Playful Pop-Up set, and this piece is from the Waterfall card. So the first thing we need to do is train all of our folds. So there's 3 mountain folds on this piece, and then there's what I like to call the martini glass fold, which the easiest way to fold it is using the folds that exist. And once we get those worked, we can invert the fold, and you can see how these all work. So next we want to put the cover plate on top of that. This adds some strength as well as decoration. And you just want to make sure that you don't get glue inside this, what I like to call the mouth cut. You want to make sure that it will open all the way. Basically, we just want to make sure there's a nice border around it, and we'll let that dry. Next, we'll take this funny, it's almost like a K shape, and again, we'll work all the folds. If you do that right, you'll see that there's like a box that will create. And then we have the Y again, or the martini glass. So again, doing that, and we'll flip that. Now I've taken my pencil and marked the 2 places we're going to put glue. So our first spot is going to be that triangle. And I'm going to wipe off any excess glue, and we're going to let that one dry a little bit. And there's our dried mechanism. And to fold it up, we're going to next glue our smiley face onto the smiley face of the platform piece. And we'll bend that over. Again, we'll wipe off any excess glue. And then on the last triangle, we'll put our other. So that's going to go down. And this fold is a little bit below this fold. Once the glue is set up, we'll push that arm through, and you can see what kind of movement we're going to get. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to glue this strip on. Now, if you don't have the Waterfall die set, this piece is about 4 inches long and about 1.5 inches wide. We're just going to fold this at about the width of that piece, and if it turns out to be a little bit longer, we can trim it down. But basically, this needs to be the same height or less. And now, when we glue this on, we want it to seem to have a lot of excess glue, but we won't do anything else. We're going to let that dry. And here's my card base pieces. I've just taken a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 strip of orange. I've used that second largest die in the rectangles crosshatch set to cut out the middle panel. And I did one in striped and one in white. And I've added the little dog bone borders. This will be our back piece. So the next thing we need to do is to install this piece. When this is folded up, we want to make sure that this ear is within the space. Tape that down with some temporary tape. And then we'll draw where we need to cut. I know it's not perfectly symmetrical, but we've got that. So then the next thing we need to do is we can either try die cutting this with an arrow, or we can use the arrow as a stencil. So I've die cut my arrow into the piece, and the arrow is from the waterfall card. Get our glue on. Put that in a folded position. Wipe off any excess glue we see, and we'll let that dry. I have a piece of clear packing tape that I'm going to place over pull tab to give it some stability and also allow it to have a little bit of a slick surface slide on when it's pulled. And again, if you don't have the waterfall set, it's 1.5 inches by I think 4 inches was the original starting length of that tab. You can draw an arrow on it, so you don't have to have that die to make it work. We need to put a strip to hold down our plate. This is a strip of acetate that is approximately 1/2 inch tall by about 2.5 inches long. Because it's acetate, we can't use glue, but can put a little bit of double-sided tape or a glue dot you could use. I'm trying to put it down further enough so you've got a long enough strip to grab onto. And then I'm going to take my stapler, staple that in place so it will be good and sturdy. To make the bow that we're going to put on our puppy, we took 2 of the large cat ears, we cut a set of paws, and 1 of the large eyeballs. That's how we get our bow. And then love you forever, our greeting. And here's our finished wild puppy card. And we've got our space to write a personal message on the back. And as I said in the beginning, the only difference between this single layer card and folded card is that the mechanism, this has been assembled in the normal way. This one, I've just flipped the mechanism pieces in reverse. I hope you enjoyed this video and you've got some inspiration, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.